Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's morning musings is resistance. I'm doing a series of daily morning musings, and I'm using posts from my blog, Adventures in Density and Effort, as inspiration. So, what I do is I read the post, and as I wrote this a while back, if I notice anything that's out of date, I will interrupt myself and give you the most recent information. And then at the end, I will summarize anything else that's going on in the world today. And also, I will give you some special offers. So, listen to the end to see what they are. Resistance. My son is taking advanced placement government as one of his senior year high school classes, so his television viewing choices have changed. I really liked it during the last presidential election when he only watched The Daily Show, a pseudo news show that's on the Comedy Channel, and now he's watching CNN and all of the debates. Having spent a third of my childhood in Washington, D.C., and lived at one time 10 blocks from the White House, I am very jaded about politics. I've pretty successfully avoided the news for the last decade. I choose to read the newspaper because you can skip directly to the comics, something you can't do with television. Recently, there have been a whole lot of emails going around about this vice presidential candidate because they're mostly Saturday Night Live videos, and I got sucked into watching them. And then yesterday, I watched The Daily Show that compared the GOP candidates' distortions of truth with the retorts from the Democratic side, which is stooping to the same level, if you ask me. I found myself getting worried about this country's future and resisting the mudslinging. And then I added my own special spin on it by thinking the next presidential term will end. Okay, I wrote this a while back, so it says the next presidential term will end in 2012. And if Obama is elected, it'll be a mass consciousness shift that will instantaneously be enlightening and pain-free. And if the other person, it will be the apocalypse. Now, isn't that special? I'm resisting the distortions of truth so intensely that my own brain is adding distortions of its own. So before I go into resistance, I think it is hilarious because we have survived, and we survived what could have been the apocalypse the last time. We're facing the same kind of things now, though if anything, each side have become more polarized and completely opposite. So it's just really interesting to see how the storyline has kind of gotten more intense each year beyond the way I could have possibly imagined. More about resistance. Resistance achieves the opposite of what you desire. When you resist, you magnetically attract what you don't want. Resistance means you're focusing on what you resist, which means you're steering your life in that direction. If you want the other guy to get elected, really, really, really resist him. I better work on my resistance real quick because I'm spending the last week of October in Washington, D.C., visiting my mom, a staunch Republican, who is usually glued to the TV, and I fly home on election day. And actually, I did. I went out to visit my mother, who's glued to the TV. We hadn't quite realized yet that she had dementia. And I flew home on election day. Washington state is an entirely mail-in ballot state, and I had mailed in my ballot before I left. It was returned to me because at the time we had a governor's race, and the Republican governor candidate had pulled my ballot out for signature verification. By that time, the election was already settled. Interesting memories. Back to the blog post. How can I not contribute to the collective energy of resistance? By practicing non-resistance. Non-resistance is the ability to be a body of glass to whatever energy one is resisting. Imagine being a screen door and the winds of resistance blow right through, but the bugs don't. Imagine being transparent so the mudslinging doesn't stick. Imagine all the space between your molecules. Negative energy just flows right through to the other side. Another way is to drop your focus and look at something else. Let go of everything you can't control, which is pretty much everything outside of you. Don't try focusing on the opposite, a sweet and happy Disney fantasy of the correct presidential candidate getting elected, because you're still resisting the incorrect one. Take your focus off the election entirely. For those of you in other countries, you can substitute something else that you resist, although I suspect politics is universally resisted. 90% of us have made up our minds already, so there's no need to continue thinking about it until the day you actually vote or send in your mail-in ballot. There's lots of other television channels to choose to view, and there's other sections of the newspaper, and there's other topics of conversation, and there's other blogs and websites. I personally am enjoying, forgot about this. My paper has 2 sets of crossword puzzles and Sudoku. And here in the Northwest, the weather is always an entertaining thing to talk about. Changing what's between your ears and what is in your heart will send a powerful ripple effect to your family and friends and beyond. The only way we can change the world is by changing our world within. It's just so interesting because I don't get a paper anymore. I would have a really hard time reading it. I get my news off of a variety of different social media websites, and I follow American Historian for her perspective, and I follow a former New York and DC lawyer for their interpretation of what's going on. And I've come a long way because honestly, I was raised in a staunch Republican family and voted that way without any questioning until I was 35 years old. And that was 30 years ago. The world has changed a lot, and the world has changed a lot with this. But I think the point is, outside of politics, is that the energy of resistance is an energy of solidity, and it really does tend to magnetically attract what you don't want. That's why shielding or energetic shields doesn't really produce the desired effect, because what you're doing is you're resisting the thing that you think you're protecting yourself against. So the most powerful form of protection, and I swear I talked about this already, but anyway, the most powerful form of protection is this technique that used to be called body of glass. I think glass is a very unfortunate term for it. But to me, it is a sense of transparency and of being so neutral that is the sense that your molecules have separated and that there's space in between, and anything negative coming at you does just pass right through. It's really an advanced form of metaphysics. So I think that's all I have to say about that right now. If you have any interesting observations or experiences with resistance and non-resistance, please leave a comment below. I love reading your comments. If you like these videos, please click the thumbs up and also click the bell icon to subscribe. That way you're telling YouTube to share this far and wide with people who really need this important information. And if you want a free sample of my consciousness techniques, click on the link to the skybox technique. It'll give you an expanded perspective of your life and help you transform your world. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. There you can sign up for my individual sessions where I take a look at the essence of who you are and what's going on in your life today. And I can answer any questions you might have and even help you make some energetic transformations. And it's recorded just for you. And if you want to know how to do this yourself, go to my website, joan-newcomb.com. And my coaching special is tailor-made just for you. You work one-on-one with me, and I give you special consciousness techniques designed for you to transform your life. So go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you in another Morning Musings.